Alright, how we doing, everyone? Today's video I'm going to be changing out my window regulator. Now this is definitely a task that is not going to be a super easy solution. It is definitely doable as long as you have patience, time, and tools. So if you're willing to do this and you've already sourced yourself another window regulator, yes, this is the entire window regulator right here, then stick along and I'll show you how to do it. So first thing you need to do is take your door panel off. Obviously I've already taken mine off, which is right there. If you don't know how to take your door panel off, I'll have a link in the description below. I made a different video about how to remove it. It's very straightforward. The brief rundown is that in your little pull handle, there's a little rubber mat. That one right down there, you pull that out, there's a screw underneath it, right behind your actual door handle. You pull the door handle out, pop that little plastic plate off behind, there's no screw right there. Take those two screws out, pop all the clips along. There's a little plastic screw right over here. It's technically a Phillips, but I normally just put my hand underneath this piece and pull it up, which will pop it out. And that would be this guy right here. You do have to kind of push the little pin back through like that to put it back in when you're ready. And then you just push the little flat piece back in once it is in. But that's minor. As you see, I had aftermarket door subs in my car, so yours is going to look like factory. Those ones right there. Don't worry if yours looks like that, because that's how it's technically supposed to be. I wanted more sounds in my car, so I upgraded. It was blown anyway, but regardless, once you get your door panel off, what you're going to want to do from now is disconnect your latches, which is pretty straightforward. You just push this in, pull it out, and then you have your three connections. This is on the passenger side. Driver's side has two more connections, I think, for the memory seat function. And then you have this one right here, which I believe is for the lock system. Unlock and lock. And then you don't normally have to disconnect these. I am going to, just to get it out of the way, because for this you do have to remove the entire door harness out of the way, so all this has to come off. Motor you can just, press in on the top and bottom, pull it out like that, and then you are going to have to disconnect your door speaker, which usually has a connection right up on top. You just pinch it in and pull it out. Obviously mine, like I said, aftermarket, so that doesn't apply to me. But before you get too carried away just on bolting stuff, you do have to put your door panel back on. Not completely on, just you want to set it right here. And you can actually do a step before disconnecting this. I should have mentioned that earlier, sorry about that. But plug your door panel back in. I've done this before. And then just let it hang here. Roll your window down. Yes, I know your window regulator is probably busted, but to the best of your ability, you have to line up the screws with these little holes right here so that you can unscrew the window from the window regulator. My window is all the way down. But it's not connected in any way, shape, or form, so that should be fine. But yeah, once you get these unscrewed, we can actually go ahead and start loosening and taking out all these screws. Keep one center one right up top. Keep this guy just in. That way it holds the panel as it is. After you remove your wiring harness, obviously you can't remove this one as easy. Pretty sure it goes down to that lock solenoid, or the lock on the door handle, so you'll have to remove this last one once the regulator comes off. But disconnect all your clips, like that one right there. Disconnect that, disconnect your speaker, disconnect the motor. And then yeah, there's probably going to be a couple of these things that the factory wiring sits on. You just pull it down and out and it'll pop off that. But yeah, so I just did that. I'm going to go ahead and verify that my screws are undone. Pretty sure they are. Just gonna verify. You can also lift your window itself up very carefully. Don't use pliers, because this is that type of glass. It's like multi-layer glass, I believe it's called. If you pinch it and you get it wrong, it's gonna shatter. So don't pinch it with pliers. Just use some strength with your fingers and pull the window up and try to guide it up and see if you can get those screws undone. Once you get the screws undone, it's easiest if you have something to wedge the window all the way up. You can take the window out. It is a pain in the ass and not easy to go back in. So I recommend, once you get the screws undone, finding something to wedge this up with. I typically like to use like a packet of RTV, because it has like that cone shape to it and it smushes, so it gets in there nicely. So I just stick the whole packet in there once the window's up, and it holds it in place nicely, and that allows the window to be out of the way for the window regulator to come off. There's more to it, so definitely continue watching this video. It's not just as easy as taking the screws off and pulling the door panel out, your window regulator panel. I wish it was, but let me catch up to speed, and then I'll recap with you guys about how to go to the next steps before just trying to pull this panel off. Okay, so just for demonstration purposes, I did get my window up to the right point to take these bolts out. They're 10mm bolts right here and here. I have the window held up. Like I said, RTV packet works great because it smushes in there perfectly, and you know, you can push it in farther if you want more stick, or you can pull it out and let the window go down if you need to. But whatever you have to use, RTV packet works perfectly for me. Ultra gray, that's the good one right there. But besides, that's for a different project. What I'm gonna do now is take out these two 10mm bolts. I had thought I already did, but apparently they're still tight on mine. I guess the cable inside is just completely shot. So I'm going to take these off real quick, and then wedge the window all the way up with the RTV packet, and then these guys will usually just fall back down into the door. If not, you can kind of get in there and push it down, but you just want to make sure that these are all the way at their bottom resting point in the door, because if not, there's like metal rods that kind of stick up past, you know, the opening right here, and you want them underneath so it can pull out. But yeah, let me go ahead and take these two out, and then I'll show you guys what to do next. Okay, so I went and loosened my bolts. They don't come all the way out. You'll just keep loosening until you feel tension loosening, and then that should be loose enough. As you can see, it's nice and wobbly. This one already filled down a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull the window up and stick the packet down a little bit further, just to hold it all the way up. And then with like your fingers, you can push it down far enough, or you can get like a stick or something and push these down all the way, just so that there's no way of it protruding in anything. Alright, so once you get all your electrical connections disconnected, still have to disconnect that one, but your speaker, your window motor, all the connections on the door panel. This one right here, and this one actually might be easier to get from the back side when we do pull the panel off, just to unclip it so they don't break when you try to pull them off. So that's what I'm going to do, leave these two on. Disconnect this one for sure up here, these two connections right up top. But, you know, disconnect your doors sub. If you're curious about how to install door subs if yours are blown, I have a video on it. Some guys don't like the look of it, but the door panel completely hides the, hides it cosmetically. Honestly, I don't think it looks that bad. Reuse the factory bezel, aftermarket sub, foam insulation, isolator ring, and some flat low pro screws. You know, it does the job. Bullet connectors that I electrical tape once I plug them in, and I have polarity and everything on my video as well, so if you want to do this, you can. But anyway, getting back to the door panel. You removed all the screws except for one. Leave that screw in there. And then this is the bolt. Wait, there's more moment, because there is a lot more. Not a lot more, but this is kind of the more tricky part when you get to this step. You need to take out these three screws, which the socket, or the Allen key that fits it for me, this is technically a standard 5/32. I'm not sure if you can see that. 5/32 fits in there. It's a little loose. I'm sure a metric one would fit in a little bit better. This is what I have currently, so I'm going to use it. And just don't strip it. Be careful with that. And then you also have to pull this little door plug right here. Pull this little door plug off, and there's an 8mm inside that holds this cap on. And then once you get that 8mm off, you basically, what you want to do is lift out on the door handle and then pull the cap off this way with the door handle pulled out, and this piece will pop off. And then I'll show you how to remove the actual door handle. Yes, you have to remove the door handle and the electrical connection for your keyless entry system. I've already removed it multiple times. It's fine. Still works how it should, so don't worry about that. It's just the whole regulator is infused with the door actuator, and there's no way of pulling this off without taking that out with it. And then we're gonna have to transfer it over to this one, because this one only has the plastic bits, doesn't have any of the actual door handle stuff. So I'll go ahead and do that. Yes, that is a used window regulator, because it's new. I think they're like $600-700 at this time of the recording, and that was like $300. So a lot easier. Came off a newer Genesis, so it should be a better quality, you know, when they fixed all the bugs and whatnot. And you know, this one lasted good amount of time. It's just, I guess the cable got all frayed up and snapped, so is what it is. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and take those 3 bolts out, take the plug out, 8mm screw in there, pop that out, pop this out, and then I'll show you how to remove the door handle. Okay, so 3 bolts are out. I just put the plug back in, but that bolt's out. And as you can see, this is now removed. So how I did that again is just pull out and then just pop it from right here, my finger is out and towards the back of the car, and then just pull off. And then for the door handle, what you want to do is basically slide it over. So I do with one hand, slide it over like that. Sorry, and you'll see that there's a gap there now. And then you just kind of pull this out, and then this part as well. Just pull that out, and you see there's a connector right there. That's for your button on your door. Be careful not to lose your gaskets, because there are 2. One right here and one on top of this one, which houses another bolt underneath it. So you take that out, and there's another 8mm bolt right there. So go ahead and disconnect this. There's a little button on top, you press that in, and then it's really hard to do with one hand. Push that in, disconnect these, move this out of the way, take that bolt out. Like I said, be careful not to lose your gaskets. Just keep them on the door handle, just like that. And then once you have this disconnected, you can take off this last bolt and then very carefully pry the panel away. Especially over here, I noticed there's a lot more adhesive, I think, behind it. All the way around here wasn't too bad, so don't bend your door panel too much unless you have a replacement and you really don't care about it. But just try to, because you might bend this outer metal as well. You don't want to do that. Just slowly work your way around. This part was sticky, so just go ahead and slowly put more and more tension against it until the adhesive behind it lets loose, and then you can basically pull it out a little bit. You're going to be fighting this side over here with the door handle assembly, and the inner door handle assembly, and the locking actuator. So once you do pull it out, you kind of have to go over and then kind of like shimmy it, down at an angle to pull that whole assembly out with it and out. So don't think I can really show you guys too well, but maybe I can set you up so you can see it. Come on. Okay, so I apologize if that's a bad angle or anything. That's the best I can do. But let me go ahead and take out the other 8mm screw on the other side of the door, and I'll mess with that. Alright, so door handle is removed, 8mm screw. These ones also are really soft and like to strip out, so be careful not to strip it out. But yeah, that's your door handle right there. And if your button's not working, good time to take it apart. There's an extra screw right there and another screw right there, and I think this whole piece separates, and then you can get in there to mess with your button. But this one works, so I'm gonna leave it alone. You just set it on the side where you know where it is. The floorboard for me is where everything goes. And then now we're going to go ahead and just take this last connection up top out. Leave. Separates right there. Cool. And the speaker. Just like that. So those two are disconnected. Now I'm going to take my last bolt out at the top. I have already gone through all this once before, so that's how I know how to show you guys how to do it. I tried fixing my window regulator and it didn't really work. It kind of worked, but it didn't work. Made a lot of noise, and I realized it's just something you have to replace. So if you want to try to repair yours, you theoretically could. Okay. So yours probably isn't going to separate like that. Like I said, I've already been in here. But, kind of see now. what you're up against. Good thing to know, on the other side, that piece, you're going to want to push the wire loom for that door handle back through, and then where you can see all this white, you will have to push it in just like that, and you see the whole thing shift out because it wants to stick into these caverns. Yeah, as you'll notice, this is gone now, so it kind of just wants to come out down, and you kind of have to put a little pressure this way towards like in the car, so bring it out and towards the car, and you should be able to slide this down out. Let me set you guys back up, see if I can capture it. And again, like I said, there is going to be a little bit more of a fight than this is, like it is for me right now. For you guys, just because you haven't done it before. There we go. But normally, I'm just going to set it on the ground. Normally, like I said, there's going to be some like adhesive or something holding it on here. I don't think it's even adhesive. I think it's just rubber isolation foam on the back that over time heats up and bonds to the outer metal surface. So that's why you just got to work with it. Here's some cardboard that I used to shim up my window before. Yeah, another piece too. Good time to clean this out. Nice thing about this car being aluminum is that you know, you don't have to really worry about, you know, the inside panel rusting and falling apart. So there's that. But anyway, yeah. So now that I have the window regulator off, now that I have the window regulator off, you have access to these clips right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and just push these up and down. And that one takes out that clip. And same thing with this one. This one's gonna be probably a little more tricky. I'll get that off camera, but you just pop this connector out with the orange bit on there, because I noticed some of the ones that came on it look like they just pulled them off and might be a little bit broken. So no worries there, just reuse your own and then you'll be good to go on that. But as you can see, my wire and everything for my window regulator is not where it should be. This is the whole door handle assembly. This is going to be a lot looser than yours is, because these clips for some reason popped out on mine. But this is the piece, this and this piece, the lock and the door handle actuator, is what you're going to have to take off to transfer to that one over there. And as for taking this out, the wires do have to slide through the door. So you're going to have to basically push these clips out, and then they have like this little guide that they follow right here. You just want to like turn it sideways to pop these little metal pieces out. And then you can slide the individual wires through here with the grommets. So you can also take the grommets off and or push them through to make it easier, because they will need to be transferred to the other one. So I'm gonna go ahead and start disconnecting all these clips and everything for the lock assembly and the door handle. Transfer this whole unit over to the new one. And my extra step is drilling out the rivets that I put back onto the door sub to transfer to that one, because I'm not using the factory sub anymore. I'm gonna use my aftermarket sub, and then re-rivet that back in. But I'm gonna do that after, once the door panel's actually, or the window regulator's actually back in. I'm gonna do that part because it's easier once it's mounted. But yeah, window regulator, and I've fought this like probably 2 weeks ago. There was no videos online on how to do it, and I don't know if there is any more at this time of recording, but as of right now, there's no videos on how to do this, so I figured I'd show you guys, because I fought with this thing for hours trying to figure out how to take this door panel off before I realized you needed to take the screws out and the whole door handle assembly out, because it would have just broke that if I kept pulling on it. But I'm gonna go ahead and transfer everything over and get the new one installed, and you know, recap with you guys if I have any more updates. Alright, so don't make the mistake I did. Verify that the new window regulator comes with the bolts to tighten up onto your window, because apparently the person, this is a secondhand door panel, the person that took this off originally took the bolts completely out and didn't include them. So it's a pain in the ass to get the backside plate to line up with the bolt when you're trying to stick it through, so I ended up having to take like a pick and a long ass extension to get in there and pull the backside towards it so I can get the bolt to thread in through both sides. It would have been a lot easier when the door panel was outside the car next to the other one, but I got it, and they're in there now, so I had to transfer my old ones on this one. I see the windows down a little bit, and it should be in its grooves, so I'm gonna go ahead and tighten these up and then give it a test with the door panel just, you know, sitting here up and down, make sure it sits in the grooves nicely, and yeah, make sure, you know, it lines up to the window properly up top, stops where it's supposed to, and then if I need to adjust it any, I can, but if not, hopefully I can just slap it all back together. Okay, so I just tested it. Window goes up and down. I can close these flaps because I already tightened the screws down, and close that one and that one, and just like that, your window regulator has been changed. Now this is actually a 2013 window regulator. I saw it on the paperwork that they sent me, so I guess the 2013 has an extra sensor right there that mine doesn't have, being an 09. But if you have an 09 or anything under a 2013, you know, the window regulators are the same. Can't quite verify for the 14, but I wouldn't be, you know, surprised. Yes, there are still a couple loose screws. I'm gonna go ahead and go around and tighten them up. I just want to make sure everything worked good, so I tightened this one and that one just to test it, the bottom one. And yeah, works, so that's cool. For you can just go ahead and slap it all back together, you know, plug your door panel back in, clip it on, close it up, and you're done to go. You're good to go. But for me, I need to drill out those rivets around the speaker, sub, remove it, put my new one in there, re-rivet it in there, and then, yeah, then I can put mine back together. So hopefully you guys found this video helpful. Like I said, there wasn't anything online that I could find, and it's definitely a job and a half to do. You know, it's not necessarily super difficult, time consuming for sure, and it tests your patience in some sorts, especially if it's your first time doing it. I know my first time doing it was a lot more difficult because I didn't have anything to go off of, but hopefully with this video it makes it a little easier for you guys. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment. You know, Genesis content is mainly what I do, but I also sprinkle a little bit of other stuff in there as well, like, you know, Z, 2JZ stuff. But yeah, take it easy guys, have a good day.